Hello, I'm Mark Nanaman. This is Power Stuff. Today, I'm going to talk about how to update your Dataverse choice column option set if Trump buys Greenland and Canada. Okay, so assuming that, Trump really does want to do that, it's not some art of the deal thing, and assuming he's allowed to do it, and we do acquire new states and territories, provinces, we might have to update some choice columns in Dataverse. If, for instance, we have all of our United States, states and territories and federal districts in a choice set. So I've got one opened up right here. It's called US States, and it's got all the US states in it, including some territories like Guam and Puerto Rico and federal district of Washington, D.C. So let's say we wanted to add a bunch to this, but we didn't want to go in here and just manually do it one at a time. You have to click new choice, type it in, click new choice, type it in, etc. Well, fortunately, there's a Dataverse web API that we can use to insert choices for us automatically. We just have to build a flow to do it. Okay, and this web API for Dataverse, it's documented on a Microsoft page here, and maybe I'll put a link to it below. But you can just look for it under learn/power platform/power app/Dataverse, and then you would look for work with choices option sets. And this is where this is where I source the API endpoints that we're going to use to do this. And here I've got my flow built out. It's not too bad. It's not too complicated. Some things maybe could be squeezed together, but to organize it to where we can understand it better, I've broken some things out. The gist of this flow, which is all we're going to cover here, and we're just going to demonstrate it. The gist is we take some inputs. I've got a manually triggered button click flow right now, and we manually enter some stuff. We could change the trigger and have it be a Copilot trigger. So maybe a Copilot agent could we could type into our Copilot agent, add these states or add these options to this option set, and reorder it, and it would just trigger it automatically and go from there. Or we could even have this triggered from a Canvas app. We could build ourselves a Canvas app with a nice interface to work with. But for here, we're just going to demonstrate it easily with this manual trigger. And my inputs here are just going to be the name of the choice set. That's going to be the logical name of the choice set, and we'll talk about where to find that. It's just right over here in your Dataverse. You can see it right here under name, this lowercase name with a prefix. And it's also, if you're editing, it's also under advanced options right here. This is the name that we need. So we ask for the choice set name, and then we ask for a comma separated list of options to add. I did also change it to where not only can we do comma separated, we could also do new line separated, which makes it really easy to copy, arrange in Excel and paste it straight in here, and it'll work from that. And then we've got an option to resort the option set alphabetically. So if we say yes, we want to resort, well then we'll do another thing at the end of the flow to alphabetically sort our options. And the way the flow works is I've got a new line saved here, and basically that's used to split. It'll go through and it'll replace each new line with a comma, and then it'll split by commas. So that handles whether it's a comma separated list or a new line separated list. And then we got a filter here that's just taking the length of each item in the array that results above, and it checks to see if it's greater than 0. Only lets it through if it's greater than 0. That way, in case there's a trailing comma or a trailing new line that leaves a blank, we don't do the blank. We get rid of the blank. And then here's where the magic happens. We use these intra ID invoke and HTTP request actions. These are really handy. So you set one up. The way you set one up is you add the action, you look for it in the action menu, you add it, and then you click on the connection right here. And then what you do is you type in your Dataverse URL. So basically that's, you can find that by, if you go to if you're in a model-driven app, it's the first part of your URL. If you're in the Dataverse Explorer right here, you could, what you could do is, I'm not sure if it's available from right here. Let's look and see. Under tools, I think. Yes. API link to table definition. So you could click that. And then it's this first, if you go up to your URL, it would be the first part that I've got copied here. So it's https:// your domain name.crm.dynamics.com. So you would put that into your, as the base URL when you're making your connection. And then you would log in, and then it'll prompt you to log in. You log in as yourself to assign your credentials. And then all you got to do, whatever you put here, all these API endpoints, they append to your Dataverse URL. And so you just paste them in here. And again, I got those URLs from the Microsoft documentation. So for instance, here we're going to be using get, right here, get global option set definitions is one we're going to be using. And here in the documentation, we see that it just tells us to put that, to take our organization URL and add /API/data, etc. And that's exactly what we do here in this invoke an HTTP request. We give it our method, and then we paste in that the relative URL of the request. This one, at first we need to get the definition, the entire option set definition, including all the options already in it. And the reason we do that is we need to find the value, because when we add these options when we add a new option in Dataverse, you'll notice that you give it a legible, human readable label, but there's another column for the value. And it's an integer that Dataverse uses to update the choice set selection. So over here, you've got the value right here. And so what I want to do is I want to pull all this into the flow and find the biggest value in here. And then we'll use that as the seed value for our new values that we add. Okay, so that's what I do right here. I call this global option set definitions endpoint, and I give it a filter, name equals, and we're taking the input for the trigger, the choice set name that the user puts in. And we're doing a trim on it just in case there's a space somewhere in there that we need to get rid of. Okay, and then that returns this big complex JSON object with an array inside of it of options. And so we need to get that. That's what we want. So we select existing option values. So this is a select operation. I just select from, I take the body of the invoke an HTTP, and I put a question mark and then options in brackets under that. And that's my input here. So we can kind of peek at this, and here in the expression editor, it looks like that. Let me blow it up a little bit if I can. Can I blow it up anymore? No, I guess not. Okay, so, but that's what we do. We just put this, we just put it in there like this, and that's how we select our options. And then for a map, we are just grabbing the value of each one. So all I got to do that is I just type in here, I go item, question mark, brackets, single quotes, capital V value. And that's just the way it is in the schema, how it's returned. And so now that makes a simple array that's just those numeric values. And then I have this compose afterwards. I call compose seed value. And all I'm doing with it is I'm just taking the maximum of this array from the select. So it just gets the largest one. And we'll use that one and start adding to it for each of our new options. Okay, apply to each. This is applied to our new array, actually our filtered array where we remove any blanks. It applies to that, so it takes that as the input. And then we compose our payload for the next invoke an HTTP request. And this one it's called insert option value. And again, I got it from the Microsoft documentation. Insert option value. And the JSON template that I also got from the Microsoft documentation looks like this. Basically, we just need to tell it the option set name that comes from the input, and then the value of our new option. And to do that, I've got this it's a quirky way I've come up with to auto increment in a loop or in a select without using a variable. So we could make a numeric variable and increment it each time we go through the loop, and then plug that and then add that to our seed value. We could do it that way. This method I have, which might look a little complicated, but it's not too bad. What I do is I basically, and I do have an article on it, and I'll probably do a video on it as well. So I'll post links to that below. But the idea here, what we do is we start by splitting. We take that input string and we split it by the current item that we have. And then we take the first, whatever's on the left of that split, we take that and we split it by our separator, which would be the comma or the new line. Okay. And then we count that. And that basically gives us the index. That's like what number we are in the whole array. And then we add that to our seed value. So that might be a little complicated. I'll see if I can maybe make a graphic to throw up on the screen. It's a little confusing at first, but it makes a lot of sense if you do it and think about it a little bit. And then we got a few other things we got to do. This template, it comes over again from the Microsoft documentation. Let's look for insert options. So I got that template from here, and basically all you got to change is the label values and the value, the numeric value. And so you put that in here, and so right here I just trim the current item in parentheses, and I put a trim again just in case there's spaces before or after that we don't want in there. And we trim that. And then the last thing we got to do that's a little tricky is we've got these OData type properties. And over here, you notice it's just one at odata.type, but Power Automate doesn't like that inside of a JSON. If you try and construct a JSON and you have just one at, it doesn't like that. It usually won't even let you save if you've got that. So you escape it out basically by putting another at in front of the one at. So you just double your ats. So just make sure every time there's an at OData, you put another at in front of it so that they all have two ats. And that's like the big trick right here. We take that, we pass that as a payload to our invoke HTTP request, and this one's a post, and then we do that for each one. Okay, now that adds our new options to our option set. Finally, down here, we have this condition based on the input, yes or no, do we want to resort alphabetically? If we do, if it's true, then we go here, and what we do is we redo that get HTTP request from above, where we get the definition of this option set. And the reason we're doing that is we want to get every option, including the new ones we just added. Okay, and so again, we have a select on that options array that's returned, but this time we want to get both the human readable label and the numeric value. So we get the human readable label. If you look at a sample of the return, or actually if you just look at this one, right? Let's see. One of these is where they create a new option set. And I believe it's this one right here. But anyway, it has this is the format basically of what you get back when you get the option set definition. it comes back, each option item comes back in this format right here. So you've got your value at the first level, but your labels that you can read are nested a little bit. The one we'll use right here is under user localized label, basically. This is not, but I'm not looking at the right thing here. That's okay. What's important though is the way you reference that label when you get it returned from the definition is you do it like this. It's going to be item, and then your question mark, your brackets, and then you got label / user localized label / label. So it's just buried in there, but you can select it this way. Okay, and now you've got a simpler array with just a label and a value property or column. And now we can sort. We do a compose down here and we sort that array. And we sort it by the label property or column. You just do a sort function on the whole array that's returned from the select, and then we just type in the name of the property you want to sort by, which is label. So now we've got that whole thing sorted alphabetically. And now we want to select only the values. We want to make a simple array that's just the numeric values. And we do that with a select here. The from is the array here. That's what we put in here from. And then for value, we just do item question mark and then value in brackets with the single quotes. And then we do this invoke an HTTP request, again from the Microsoft documentation. It's the relative URL is just this order option API endpoint. And we have a simpler body here. It's just option set name, which is the name of our option set. And then we've got values. And the values are going to be this simple array right here, which is just your numeric values of your option sets in the order you want them in finally. And so you just put that here, and that's all you got to do. That's all that it takes to do this. Okay, so here I've looked up the administrative divisions of Greenland. So they've got these, they call them municipalities. So it's got, I think, 5 or 6. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 municipalities in Greenland. And then Canada, we have these provinces right here. And I just went ahead and copied and pasted from the web page into Excel. So I've got them all here. And all we're going to need to do to run our flows, we're just going to need to copy this and paste it into our flow, and we'll do that next. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this. First things first, let's the first thing first is we need to go over here to our solutions just to remind ourselves what this option set's logical name is. I'm going to copy that. So I'm just going to go here under advanced and editing this. I'm going to copy. It's also right here. Copying the logical name. I'm going to go to my flow and I'm going to go to test manually. And what we'll do here, just for testing purposes, I'll do it once with Greenland's municipalities, and then I'll do it again with the Canadian provinces. So the first thing it's asking me for is a choice set name, so I put the logical name in there. And now it's asking me for the new options. So what I'll do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to select only the Greenland municipalities. And I'm going to paste them in here. All right, for the first time, I'm going to leave the resort off. So let's hit run. Okay, it's running. Unfortunately, there's not a batch, at least I didn't find it. There's not a batch method for doing this. So we have to do a loop. I don't like doing loops whenever I can avoid it. Okay, so that ran. Looks like basically our flow took less than 20 seconds to run. let's hop over here to Dataverse. Sometimes I've noticed when we create or update a choice set, it can take Dataverse maybe a minute to catch up. Let's see if it's caught up. So I clicked on USA states. My computer's running sluggishly because of the screen recorder. All right, and down here at the bottom, underneath Wyoming, we have our 5 new Greenland municipalities. By the way, I mean no offense to anyone in Greenland or Canada. If you, I don't mean to be offensive here. I'm just doing this in good fun. Okay, so hit cancel, and then let's go over here and let's run this again. And this time we're going to use the Canadian provinces, and we'll also put the resort on to resort a whole option list alphabetically. So I'm going to click test. I'm going to have to grab my Canadian provinces. Let's paste those in here and make sure to flip our resort alphabetically to yes, run flow. Fingers crossed this works and I don't get a flow fail on my screencast, because I have not actually tested this a lot. But it ran the first time when we did Greenland, so this should work. It's going to take a little bit longer since we've got twice as many. It looks like we have 10 provinces. Okay, so I just waited, paused the video for a second and waited, and eventually it completed. We might have been getting a little some throttle action. I'm not sure. Looks like this first one took a minute to complete. And the whole loop took about 3 minutes, unfortunately. But down here we see that it went ahead and did the reordering sequence. So let's go ahead and check. So let's go back here. I'm going to click into my USA states. All right, and so now let's see, Alabama, Alaska, Alberta, Arizona, Arkansas, Avanata, British Columbia. So it worked. So we've got some of our Greenland municipalities and our Canadian provinces now sorted alphabetically in our United States states and territories choice set. So that's how you can do this. And again, all in good fun. I don't mean any offense to any Canadians or Greenlanders who object to the proposal of our president-elect. So I hope you had fun watching this video. And if you like it, please give the video a like and share it. And I'll post a link to a blog post going through this process in more detail below. So be sure to check that out. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.